Well, the American system of government is unique in that our military cannot be used to enforce our domestic laws. I say unique, maybe there's somewhere else in the world where that's the case, but that's part of our constitutional protections as Americans from the overreach of our federal government. Ed Vitagliano is with me with Abraham Hamilton III. We're going to talk about the dispatchment of the National Guard to our southern border in just a minute. But what is this I'm talking about called, and how long has it been in existence?
Well, the Posse Comitatus Act was enacted in 1878. It essentially ended Reconstruction after the Civil War. The federal government, after the Civil War, kept federal troops in the South. There was a disputed election involving Rutherford B. Hayes, who eventually became the president. But the federal government, in Congress passing that law, withdrew federal troops. The law states that that regular military troops, at the time it was just the Army, cannot be used to enforce domestic policy or be involved in law enforcement. It was updated in the 1950s, I think, to include the Air Force. It does not cover the National Guard. So we could not dispatch an infantry division down there to enforce, unless we're being invaded by another country, but in terms of domestic policy, the Army cannot be used.
Is this a good idea or a bad idea?
Well, I think it's a good idea. Of course, we have to keep our eyes on the entire purpose for Posse Comitatus being passed in the first place. But when you have a situation where we have such a porous southern border as we have the recent issue with the caravans coming north, that it makes sense to use some sort of deterrent or reinforcement.
The National Guard.
Yeah, for the National Guard to support ICE and the Border Patrol.
Gotcha.
In order to use their functions. If and when the National Guard arrives there, they would be operating more so in a superveillance and aiding those two departments, and this wouldn't be unprecedented because in 2006, George W. Bush did that, and President Barack Obama in 2010 coordinated with Governor Perry to have National Guard's troops.
Because I think when you say military on the border, some people think, well, we're going to have tanks, F-16s, we're going to have Navy SEALs. I don't know what Navy SEAL does in the Mexican desert, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
That's not what we're talking about here.
Not in the least bit. You're going to have, if and when this happens,
right,
National Guard
okay,
supporting and aiding ICE and
okay,
the Border Patrol in their functions, yeah, on the southern border.
Because we just want to stop people from coming to our country illegally. That's what we want to do. We don't want to hurt anybody, get into a war with Mexico, and nobody hates the immigrants, the illegal immigrants who are trying to get here. We just can't allow any and everybody to come here because they want to. So we have to stop them at the border, which now includes using our National Guard, which I think is a wise move, but also, as you guys said, a constitutional move. Thanks for watching Reason and Company. We'll see you next time.